Fridays at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time, and we have to start with the big news at the quarterback position.
It's huge.
Nate Sudfeld went 1-for-1 in team drills. I know that's what everyone wanted to know. 1-for-1 with a 100% completion percentage.
My goodness.
Suddy is on his way to the top.
This is not Sudafed. The Sudafed name, we're throwing it out the door now. This guy is this guy's lights out. He's lightning in a bottle. He's excited. We're joking.
I thought that's what everyone wanted. That's not what everyone wanted to know with quarterback watch.
No, matter of fact, a few people in chat right now are getting really upset about the Sudfeld. We apologize. We thought it was a funny joke.
I'm sure Caleb loves it.
I'm pretty sure he does. Caleb, you're welcome. But no, welcome. We got a lot of stuff to talk about with day 7, right? Lots of things happening. Lots of news, lots of stuff to break. Before we get to any of it, though, make sure you hit that subscribe button. The last 2 videos have been doing great. Cutback crew, you've been fantastic. Live chats have been live as all can be, but we still got 60% of you out here watching right now who aren't subscribed to the channel. I don't know what you're doing. Hit that subscribe button right now. Hit that notification bell as well. That way you're notified for all the stuff we got coming out. For Friday's live stream at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, you won't want to miss that. We're going to break down everything that happens right from day 8 officially of training camp, because they got the day off today. Tomorrow they're going to come in and get their work in. And then Friday, we're going to get to talk about it, which is great, because then we're going to turn right around and get right to work with day 9 at Levi's with the 49ers Cutback.
Yeah, we'll be there. I mean, we'll finally get to kick it off at being there. We're going to give a lot of content and a lot of context to what's going on, so it's going to be a blast. I can't wait for it. And you know what happened with day 7? The finish of install. All the offense and defense has been installed. That was the install period. Now they're going to be moving into working on the things, as Mike McDaniel said, that they don't do very well. Improving those and getting better. So now they're going to start, really focusing in on making sure execution is down. And that's what's going to be fun, is seeing how these guys execute when we get out there on Saturday.
Agreed with you, man. I'm really looking forward to the execution. Really looking forward to seeing them in Levi's. Being back in Levi's Stadium, it's been so long, it feels like. So long since I've been there. And I'm probably the same for you as well. I don't want to speak for you, but we're both really, really pumped about it. But let's start with today. There's a lot of stuff to talk about today. Breaking news, right? Breaking situations. Joshua Perkins, tight end, used to play for Shanahan in Atlanta back in the 2016 season. They've now signed him, brought him onto the roster, cut Josh Pederson to make that happen. Waived him, I believe, is the right terminology there. My apologies. And they also waived Tim Harris Jr. after signing B.W. Webb. So Tim Harris Jr. now officially off the roster. We had just talked about how this was a bubble guy who was going to be in some trouble. Well, the trouble is here now. That he still could potentially get an injury designation thrown on him, get thrown on IR. But as of right now, he's been waived. Pederson has been waived. And B.W. Webb and Joshua Perkins are the 2 newest members of this 49ers preseason 90-man roster.
Yeah, if Tim Harris clears waivers, then he can possibly end up on the IR. We'll see if the 49ers end up doing that. It'll be curious. He could also be signed to the practice squad eventually. Once he's healthy, they could do that. So we might not have seen the end of Tim Harris in San Francisco. It's unfortunate the injury happened. He was getting reps with the first team and the second team with Emmanuel Mosley being out.
It's true.
But this just didn't work out for him, and this has been the problem with him the whole time in the 3 years he's been with the 49ers. Injuries have hampered his his chances to make this roster and his chances to make an impact. And you can't make a roster if you don't make an impact, and he hasn't made an impact yet. So he will be probably not a part of this 53-man roster. I say probably. I always like to leave a little bit of a sliver of hope, but I think we're safe to say that he won't be on the team. And then they made these corresponding moves, and this is what happens. You continue to build your team. I think we've talked about this for a while, that we never thought the 49ers 90-man roster was going to be set all the way through training camp. They were going to continue to make moves, especially as people start getting cut from other teams. You take a look at it, examine it against your own roster, and then decide which way is better. It was curious they signed a tight end, though. I didn't really see that coming. I understand Pederson getting waived because you have Jordan Matthews coming on strong, Michael Pruitt getting ready to come off, from the calf, get back out there. So that made sense. But signing another tight end, they're looking for some sort of a look. Maybe they need to decrease the reps of the other tight ends. Maybe that's what they're looking for. So it is interesting, and let's see how this develops.
Yeah, I don't want to jump one way or the other. I don't want to jump on the Charlie Warner maybe in trouble bandwagon.
I don't think so, not yet.
I don't think any of that. I think what you said is probably the most likely scenario is that they're trying to decrease reps, especially with Pruitt being out, and maybe Josh Pederson just not showing enough. They weren't comfortable putting him out there in certain situations or wanting him to get extra reps and extra looks. So they make this move, and now you got an additional piece with Michael Pruitt hopefully coming back here in the next few days. It's good news for the 49ers. Good news for the tight end room either, right? Less reps, less wear and tear. Feeling a little bit better at the end of sessions. You maybe don't need to spend as long in the ice tub.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You want to make sure these guys are taken care of. I know they usually like to run 5 tight ends in training camp, so having guys out there is not a very big surprise, rotating these guys through. And maybe they're not set at somebody, so they're taking a look, seeing where guys are. It's never a bad idea also to take a look at guys in training camp, like at this point, because later on in the year, if you suffer an injury or whatever, and these guys are sitting out there or they're on practice squads, you can bring them in. You've already got familiar with them. You know what they can do. You see where they're at physically. So taking a look at them during training camp and then eventually going and signing them makes a lot of sense.
It really does. It really does. And there were some DNPs. This practice. Azeez Al-Shaair, obviously.
Of course,
still
he's out for a few weeks.
He's going to be done for a little bit. Bosa had a maintenance day.
Yep.
Right? Ebukam kind of took a day off, had a little bit of a maintenance day as well today for himself, having some tightness, right? He's having some issues in that lower half, making sure he stays healthy, stays good to go, especially with today being a day off for them. Get to stack 2 days in a row for him, leading into Friday, leading into Saturday. It's like a nice little mix-up there and giving him opportunity to stay fresh. Dante Johnson still out with the foot. Obviously, Pruitt still out with the calf.
Yeah, I don't think anything is surprising. Nick Bosa is going to have these maintenance days. That's just the way it is. They're going to ease him in. There's no reason to rush him. Once again, they just finished install. You know what Nick Bosa doesn't need to learn? The defense.
Install.
Go through these, basic techniques. He knows them. He's been working on them all year long. So when they get into scheme and stuff, it's more important for him to be out there as far as, game planning for a team. There won't be a whole lot of game planning that goes into playing preseason games. So it's not that critical. I don't know how many snaps we'll actually see of Nick Bosa. The one thing I'm looking forward to is seeing him practice more and sit less. That will happen as we get farther and farther into training camp. And then this will become even a more non-story than it already is.
Accurate.
Yeah.
Very accurate. Deebo Samuel off on the side field today. Was out getting a little bit more work. Was working on some things. Still getting held out of team drills right now. But again, tightness lower half. Don't want to mess around with that with Deebo Samuel. He dealt with lower half injuries all of last year. No reason to rush it. So let's get into the big topic of the day, the big topic of every day at 49ers training camp, because it's the topic that's on everybody's mind. That's the topic that, I wouldn't say it's the easiest one to talk about, but it's the most exciting one to talk about, and that's QB Watch.
Yeah, before I get into QB Watch, let's clarify. Deebo Samuel sat out on Tuesday.
Accurate.
He did actually practice on Wednesday.
Correct.
And get returned to the field, so it was just precaution, and now he's back and better than ever. I say back and better than ever because I think it's funny when people act like it's a real big deal. They sit out for leg tightness or soreness or any of that. It's not. It's a really good job by the trainers to make sure they're taking care of these players for the long term. As far as quarterback watch goes, Trey Lance continues to shine. I mean, that's what Trey Lance does. He's been playing very well, picking up this offense. There's a lot they could, that still need to be worked on. I was listening to Mike McDaniel's press conference, and he was talking about the fact that Trey Lance had a lot of footwork issues coming out of OTAs in that 40 days that he needed to work with. And they were very happy with the progress they've made. So he was telling him, you're going to have so much to worry about when you get back here in 40 days. We don't have time to go over all the technique things and fix them. You need to go get those done. He did, but that just proves how much you have to learn in that time. Good on Trey to get that stuff done, but just so everyone knows, it's still a work in progress with Trey Lance. But I'm glad that he took that initiative and went and got that done and did certain things that they wanted to get done for him, things he wasn't used to that he needed to work on. So Trey Lance coming out there and playing well is a good sign. He's destroying the second string defense. I think that should be expected, especially when you're a top flight level quarterback like that, playing with these top flight receivers against the backups. He's going to tear it up. But it is a good sign. Will he start getting reps with number ones? At some point, if he gets actual consistent reps with number ones, then I'll get more excited about what Trey Lance when he could possibly start. Until then, I'm going to just keep the wait and see approach.
That's a good approach to have, because you have people who don't want to do the wait and see approach. In fact, there was someone bold enough to put in one of the groups that I saw today that Trey Lance is destroying the twos And people keep saying that as if it's a bad thing or as if it's a negative or a knock on what he's doing, which just isn't the case. That's what you want him to do.
Of course.
They said, they brought up an interesting question. Should people care more about this, seeing as last year the 49ers twos were actually really good at a top 5-10 defense in the league? Doesn't that say more about his potential to be a starter?
No, I don't think so. I think you also have to look at circumstance. D'Amico Ryans talked about the fact that they have been scheming to put players in certain situations, both offensively and defensively. That's why you're getting, Trent Sherfield against Jonas Griffith down the field deep. It happened again today with George Kittle beating Griffith deep. Kyle Shanahan is famous for scheming up practices so that he get guys wide open. The quarterbacks are executing. Trey Lance is executing down the field and making the play. But I don't think this has anything to do with the twos. And let's remember that you have guys out right now. Emmanuel Mosley's out. Azeez Al-Shaair's out. So you have guys that would normally be taking 2 reps, that are now, it's 3 guys. Tim Harris Jr., gone. Dante Johnson, not practicing. So he is working guys, but these wouldn't normally be your number 2s.
Correct.
So I'm not taking too much into it. Also, they did say this might be the most concerning part. The second team defensive line hasn't always been getting enough pressure on the quarterback. That might be more concerning as far as the defensive line goes, or very impressive for the offensive line. Allowing Sherfield to get deep, allowing George Kittle to get deep and beat these linebackers deep, because normally you scheme it up knowing these guys don't have to cover that long.
That was my takeaway from that post is that you were taking a sample size of last year, which wasn't really your 2s. It was a mixture of guys at certain positions that were your 2s with the 1s as well. And then being able to build off of and play off of each other. Again, our 2s linebacking core is not the same as our 1s linebacking core. It's not even close.
No.
Our 2s secondary right now, it's not our 1s secondary, and it's not even close. The only argument you could make is potentially your 2s in the D line, and even then it's sounding like that there's some issues there. So if Trey Lance is getting more time, and also Trey Lance is a much more mobile quarterback, which means if he's getting more time, and then when there is pressure, he's able to escape, then he's going to be able to extend and stretch plays. Something that we've seen the Niners struggle with is mobile quarterbacks who can get out of the pocket, extend plays, and take something that looks like a sack at 3 or 4 seconds and turn it into a big play 6 or 7 seconds, after getting the snap from the center. So I don't want to put too much stock into that against the performance against the 2s. What I will say is that I like this, because my worry is what if he can't do that or isn't doing that? He's showing that that's not a problem. He can handle himself, and not only can he handle himself, he can shine, he can thrive. 4 touchdowns today in his 4 red zone plays. You want that. That's exactly what we want as 49ers fans. It's the thing that we've been talking about, right? Trey Lance's ability to take 11-on-11 football, one-on-one football, translate that into red zone success, where you can match up guys in space. Kyle Shanahan, the ultimate schemer, the ultimate chess master, can find ways to get guys open or put them in positions for Trey Lance to make an easy read, to make an easy play. These types of things are going to lead to this offense taking the next step and the next jump. And again, plays to our conversation and our idea of Jimmy and Trey in 2021, and not Jimmy or Trey or Jimmy versus Trey.
Yeah, and I think the big part of it, so many people want him to be kind of named the starter right now. The way I always look at it is you don't name anyone a starter until you've seen them play football games.
Accurate.
Right now we've seen them in practice. So if Trey comes out and dominates in the preseason, you're going to see increased reps in the preseason.
Accurate. And
you're going to see this, this will become a real race. So that's what it is. It's all about waiting for football games to happen. Trey Lance might be impressing them enough where they think this is a possibility, but they're not going to tell us for sure. They're definitely going to keep that, because they don't want the possibility that, he doesn't do that in the games. He's not ready. I think he'll be ready. I think he's going to tear it up in preseason. I think he's going to have a very good preseason. I think Kyle Shanahan's going to have a tough decision to make, but ultimately it's a good decision for the 49ers, because either way we go, we have a very good option at quarterback compared to what we had playing most of the year last year. So we're sitting in a good position with a great defense. And going back to that defensive line, like I brought up with the secondary and the linebackers who's in there, because of injuries, you didn't have Samson Ebukam rushing with those 2s. You don't have D Ford out there consistently rushing with those 2s. Because Kinlaw didn't do 11-on-11, you didn't have the normal guys that are up there. Now, Street is taking the first team reps instead of the second team reps. So that second string D-line is not as talented as it normally would be, which would make a big impact on those plays. Just something to take into account. But I won't take anything away from Trey. He's doing everything above and beyond what I think we could expect him to do as far as physical traits and learning this offense in the base install. He's done a great job.
Yeah, and you like hearing Mike McDaniel talk about the swag that he has, right?
Yeah.
The confidence that he has, the bravado, almost in a sense. I love that. I love that those leadership qualities. That's what you want for your quarterback. That's what you want for your team. You want a guy who's confident. You want a guy who believes in himself, because a guy who believes in himself and has all the physical tools is going to put in the work. He's going to work hard. He's not going to doubt the process and the things he's doing. He's not going to be doubting what the coaching staff is teaching him, showing him, wanting him to work on, and that's going to make him more dangerous. It makes the offense more dangerous. It makes us more unpredictable, and for the rest of the NFC West, it's a headache.
Yeah, and I like that all this press is not bad, because it makes these other teams start worrying about Trey Lance already. They have to be concerned because they read and hear everything that's coming out of San Francisco.
Yes.
The one thing I will say is I want to see Trey Lance get first-team reps, because I want to see how he does against this first-team defense.
Mm-hmm.
I would really love to see that, especially as we get into camp further, and he has a better grip, just to see how he handles it, see how he matches up against these other guys. And if he's playing at the same level he's playing right now, that's a good sign for everybody. So I think I'm one of those ones, and I think everyone else does. We want to see it, not for the reasons that a lot of people do, just to prove that he's a starter. I don't care if he ends up proving he's a starter or not, because I don't care if I'm right or wrong or anything. I just care if we win, and if he's the best player, then he needs to play.
Yeah, and if he's the one that's if he's winning his football games, then that's what it needs to be. That it is what it is. At the end of the day, for us, it's about the best option for the team on the field.
Yes.
And Shanahan's going to put these guys in a situation to demonstrate who the best option is, and 49ers fans need to trust that.
Yeah.
There is no ego play here. Shanahan doesn't benefit from Trey Lance sitting, right, in terms of his prowess as a quarterback guru.
Yeah.
He actually benefits if Trey Lance is playing. So, the fact that this coaching staff isn't rushing to put him on the field tells you where their head's at. It's not about being right about Trey Lance. It's about being right with this football team.
Well, it's also a point to say that Mullins outplayed Jimmy Garoppolo for 2 straight training camps. From the media's point of view, that Mullins was the better player. Mullins should have started over Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo threw 5 picks in the practice.
Yep.
They had the simulated practice game against was it Kansas City or Denver?
I believe it was Denver.
Yeah, it was Denver. That's right. Jalen Hurd got hurt.
Yep.
And everyone, blew up the Jimmy Garoppolo can't get it done. So this is not something new to San Francisco. The only difference is this isn't Nick Mullins. This is Trey Lance.
Correct.
This is the number 3 overall pick. So it's a different animal and a different, beast in everything. But I just thought, just give it time, because this is kind of what happens every single training camp as long as Jimmy Garoppolo has been the quarterback.
Correct. And it's not going away anytime soon, unfortunately. But hey,
No.
it is what it is, right? Like, Shanahan and Lynch made that bed this year.
Yeah.
When they made the move up for 3 to take a quarterback. That's just the way it's going to be.
Oh, they knew what they were getting themselves into.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't think they realized the Mac Jones train got to where it went. But other than that, they knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Trey Lance, a lot of deep passes as well today that he completed. Jimmy Garoppolo went 6 of 11 today. He scored a touchdown in one of his 4 red zone plays, which is great. You want to put the ball in the end zone when you're that close. Rosen and Sudfeld are getting about as many snaps as everyone thought they were going to get.
Yeah, I feel for them.
It's rough, and it's not looking like these two guys are going to be given any sort of opportunity to really set themselves apart. They're going to have to do something in a preseason game to really shock somebody and open some eyes. Every day when I look at the numbers, I look at how many reps they're getting, some snaps they're getting, I look at some of their throws. It's almost like, why are you even showing up to practice? Because you guys are going through warm-ups, you're doing your endos, you're doing your EDDs, you're throwing your one-on-ones and all that stuff. But when it comes to team stuff, they're not getting any team reps.
Well, they're doing it because that way when they go out to preseason, they can get those reps and they can put film out there.
Correct.
Whether they end up being the number 3 quarterback for the 49ers or they end up being a number 3 quarterback for somebody else.
Or they end up being on the practice squad.
Yeah, they get to put that film out there.
True.
And that's what they're looking to do. I feel bad for these guys. That's rough, but that is the way football is in the NFL. You don't have enough reps. You cut practice short. On days like, when you can have an off day the next day, you cut it short. That way you get a little extra rest. So this is what happens. Speaking of reps, Colton McKivitz took starting right guard reps at practice, and Mike McDaniel was asked about this, and he said that basically McKivitz had opportunity last year to have some starting snaps at right guard. and last year didn't get a real full training camp in. So they're making sure that Compton, Brunskill, and Colton McKivitz all get a fair shake at earning this starting right guard job. I thought that was interesting. And then mentioned eventually they'll work in Banks. So Banks is having a learning curve. They're at least moving along slower with him. So he must not, he's not ascending to the level of Trey Lance as far as, picking up everything right away. So there is something there where he's more of a depth piece as of right now. He could always come on once it clicks.
Oh, 100%.
Traits. But I thought that was interesting that Colton McKivitz got right guard starting snaps, because I always thought that he was kind of going to be in the tackle realm this year. But they're open to all situations. It doesn't mean he has a lead or anything. That is interesting that they're going with a full rotation.
It is. It is very interesting indeed, because I think we both thought tackle, especially with Skill going down, that was where he was going to be playing. Then the stuff starts coming out about Jalen Moore, and we're like, oh, interesting. Well, maybe Jalen Moore is going to be playing tackle for this team, and he'll be behind McKivitz, and now McKivitz is moving over and getting first string reps with the guards at the right guard spot, and it's like, this door is revolving. Like it's a revolving door with these guys, and they're making sure that they exacerbate all their options and look at all their options.
Yeah.
Right? We've been saying this from the jump, from the draft, from the time season ended, from the time they started signing all the players that they started signing, right? They're going to put the best roster on the field that they can.
Yeah, and Forrester's doing a good job of making sure he's going to get the right guy out there.
Yes.
I still believe it's going to be Daniel Brunskill.
Agreed.
I think Brunskill's going to win this job. I know we've toyed around with the whole idea the whole time. You've been on the train that it's going to be Brunskill.
Still on the train.
Yeah, and I think it is. I think Brunskill's just too good of a player, and he's going to end up winning this job. I think especially hearing the reports that Banks wasn't mentioned in that 3-man rotation. They said Tom Compton came in and he's looking good. So I wouldn't count him out. I don't ultimately think he has an actual chance to beat out Brunskill, because I think Brunskill's that much better than him. But it is interesting to see. And I like this offensive line, the way it's constituted. But that could also be another reason why the number 2 offensive line was really good. If Brunskill's on it and Tom Compton's on it and Jalen Moore's on it, you have a very good number 2 offensive line. So they're giving Trey at least some opportunities to throw the ball downfield, which is great. The depth is what is so awesome. So I'm looking forward to getting out there on Saturday and seeing this, because I think that we're going to have a lot of fun breaking down these players and breaking down some of these competitions and just see what they do to put on a show for the fans.
Man, I'm stoked. I'm so stoked. I can't even contain it. It's like coming out of every orifice right now. It's crazy. I got the sniffles. I got sneezing. Oh my goodness gracious. Look, this team, this roster, loaded with talent. If that's what's going on too, right? Can you imagine a second team unit that's Brunskill at center, McKivitz at guard, or Banks at guard? Oh my gosh. I can't. I'm too excited. And I'm too excited. It's crazy. I'm looking forward to not only seeing all of those things, but seeing the matchups.
Yeah.
Seeing the D-line, the O-line, right? Watching those battles, getting to watch Fred Warner, getting to watch these other linebackers out there in space, seeing how they're adjusting, how they're playing. This secondary, because I do want to see who Trey Lance is going against. Who are the names that he's been completing these passes on and going up against?
Yeah.
And being able to see it with my own eyes and be able to see just what the defense is doing, right? Is it a lot of one-on-ones? Is it a lot of man that he's completing against? Is it zone coverages, right? Is Shanahan scheming up a lot of stuff? Or is Trey Lance extending plays and just making plays with his feet and his arm? Those things are all probably accurate and probably happening. But being able to watch it, actually see it happening and unfolding before our very eyes, and watching how it gets to that end result that everyone keeps reporting about, that's what we're caring about. That's what we want to see. How did we get to that end result? The 40-yard bomb to Kittle is great. But if, he held onto the ball for 5.5 seconds and, the line protected him, great. It's like, okay, cool. But that's not going to be every play and every down. So I want to see, when the pressure's flying and those bullets are flying, like you keep talking about, can he make that other decision, that underneath route that he's supposed to find, the check down that he's supposed to hit when the pressure is too high, being able to step up in the pocket and then escape and then make that same throw. All those things are going to play into, our evaluation and how we're looking at this. But it's going to take time.
Yeah.
It's going to take time to get there, right? And if the D-line's not giving that look right now, at some point Kyle Shanahan is going to go to DeMeco Ryans and say, hey, it's time to mix it up.
Yeah. I think when you're evaluating Trey Lance, I think there's a few things I really want to see. I want to see how he handles the blitz,
Yes.
whether that is, also conferring with Alex Mack, if Alex Mack is making the line calls, how that happens, number one. Number 2, his rhythm on normal intermediate, short passes, all of that. Just if he's a rhythm guy, back foot hits, ball comes out of hand. Back foot hits, ball comes out of hand. Those are things I want to see. And then I just want to see how he creates once the play breaks down. Because I think that is the big thing that everyone is looking at that separates him from Jimmy Garoppolo. Yes, he's got the huge arm, of course, that separates himself from a lot of people.
Yes.
But the off-schedule plays, getting outside the pocket, and then making something happen is something I'm interested to see. And I'm interested to see it against what type of scheme we're going to see.
Yes.
If the defense isn't giving this guy a lot of different looks right now, if they're just running a lot of base stuff, it's a lot more easy to recognize what you're looking for and where you're going to go with the ball. If they start scheming up things and they start giving him different looks and different coverages and a lot of shell coverages, and then also bringing blitzes and zone blitzes and frontline stunts, I want to see how he reacts to that. How he reacts to seeing, a guy like Samson Ebukam loop to the middle of the field and is coming straight for him free, because we know, that is something that they really have to adjust to. So that's what I'm looking for. Will he be able to hit his hot route? Will he be able to get in and out of plays? All those things will give you a good signal of where he's at, and that's what I'm going to be looking for when we get to watch him. But I'm going to be looking for similar things for Jimmy Garoppolo. I want to make sure that he can do all the things that he needs to do. I want to see him stepping into passes. If he's not going to step into plays this year, if he's not going to get, that all his effort into it, then Trey Lance is going to eventually take over this job. Jimmy Garoppolo has to be playing the best he could possibly play.
And Jimmy's putting in the work too. Everyone keeps talking about Trey this, Trey that, right? Everyone keeps talking about Trey, logging the most hours on the tablet for film study. I hope so. He's got a lot to learn. I hope he's logging the most hours.
Did you hear what Kyle said about that?
Yeah, I heard it. It was good.
Yeah, he could have just had us sitting there playing.
I mean, for all that's what really the reality of it. Do I think that's actually the case? No. But it's funny.
It's funny.
It's funny because it's technically true.
He's definitely putting in that time, 100%.
100%. But Jimmy is also spending some time too. Don't knock Jimmy Garoppolo. This Trey Lance's performance and the things that Trey Lance are doing are bringing out the best of Jimmy. Kyle talked about this a little bit. The coaching staff has talked about this a lot. He's putting in time. He's running sprints after practices. He's working on the long ball with receivers. Jimmy Garoppolo is spending time working on his game, developing his craft, and getting better as a quarterback also, which is what makes this so special. It's what makes this so great. This is what, we both thought, the 49ers cutback community, the crew, has all thought too, is that you're going to get a situation where you're bringing in this young, talented guy, and he's going to push the guy that's ahead, and that guy is going to respond. He's going to answer. George Kittle has been saying this from the start. Garoppolo has a fire lit under him. He's never seen him like this before. He's going to continue to improve as well. Let's see it unfold in games. That's what I want.
I think also this hype train, all the focus on Trey Lance, there's lack of a focus on Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Because everyone's talking about Trey Lance. He might be able to kind of skate under the radar as far as the media presence, because they're not as on him. When they ask him questions, it's about Trey Lance. So he doesn't have to ask any big time questions. So as long as he's comfortable with that, just answering these questions and then skating underneath that pressure, it might be a good thing for him overall. Just because there's a lot of hype on somebody doesn't mean it affects the guy in front of him. And I think Jimmy's a very confident guy, and he's not really worried about it. Eventually he knows what's coming. I mean, it's inevitable, and he knows. But how long can he compete? And I would like to believe that Jimmy Garoppolo is the competitor, and I think George Kittle's alluded to this, the type of competitor that believes he can still beat out Trey Lance. And I want that from a starting quarterback, whether it's true or not. I want my guy believing that he can beat this out or beat him out. Can he do it? We'll see. We'll definitely see. But after 7 days of practice, I'm definitely not ready to crown anyone, as a starting quarterback. I'm not even ready to crown, Trey Lance as a chance to start until he officially starts taking first-team reps that aren't run plays, that are pass plays, and more first-team reps. If they start equaling out, like I've said before, then I'll really take it seriously. And after we start seeing games, I'll really take it seriously.
Yeah, right now it's not even equal. It's really 0. He does have a first-team snap, folks, but it's a handoff. So,
2 now.
2 officially.
Yeah.
That's true. 2 officially.
Yeah,
so
don't shortchange him.
My apologies for missing the other additional one.
It was also a run.
Also a run. So 0 for 2 on passes, but 2 for 2 on runs.
I don't think he's throwing with the first team.
No, that's what I mean, though. On 2 opportunities a pass play, they were both runs. So he's 0 for 2 on passes and 2 for 2 on runs. So, folks, get ready for Trey Lance having the ball off officially confirmed for the 2020.
Well, I think it tends to go to what we've been thinking before, like you said earlier, Jimmy and Trey. Having a special run plays for Trey Lance, but he can go in and run with the first unit. It makes a lot of sense. So I don't think it's that far off to think that is a possibility. But Jimmy's going to have to make sure that he gets his limited snaps in preseason, that he comes out and executes, because Trey Lance he's going to go out there and put on a show.
And I think we both think he's going to get more snaps too, right? Trey is most likely going to get more snaps than Jimmy in preseason.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trey, Sudfeld, and Rosen will get more snaps than Jimmy Garoppolo in preseason, unless they think this is an actual competition. If it becomes an actual competition, Jimmy and Trey will definitely take more snaps than we initially thought. And I feel bad for Sudfeld and Rosen because there might be games they don't get any.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, poor guys. And other notes, too, to talk about the coaching staff, right? They wore their John Lynch Hall of Fame T-shirts to commemorate the fact that that man's going into the Hall of Fame this weekend, which you just love to see.
Yeah, congratulations to John Lynch once again. He's going to
Always.
get enshrined. It's a big moment for him. He deserves it. He put in all the work and effort. He's very impressive. He's going in as a player. Hopefully one day he can go in as an executive too. He's got to win some Super Bowls and get it done. But he's the kind of guy you can really get behind, just his personality, how transparent he is. He's a good guy. So he deserves this, and I'm looking forward to hearing his speech and just hearing what he says and how he approaches going to the Hall of Fame and what it means to him.
Agreed. I mean, I'm looking forward to that speech. I'm looking forward to football officially starting this week, right? This is just, oh my gosh. George Kittle talked about it in his press conference. The pads are on. It's officially football time now. Like before, no pads on. It's kind of like football, but there's no physicality. You don't really get to get into it. It limits, like, if you're a physical player, you're a person who blocks, does any sort of hits, lays the wood. When you don't have pads on, it's not the same. It's not quite the same. And as a receiver, I hated shells. Like, I hated shells. They were, like, my least favorite thing in the world. Because shells, when you got the helmet on, the shoulder pads on, and no leg protection, you still had those guys that were the ankle biters who were still biting ankles during shells. I hated it. Because I was just like, I just want to run through somebody. I liked dealing out punishment as a receiver, catching in space, trying to run over people, more than I enjoyed like trying to tackle somebody in open space.
Yeah.
You feel like unstoppable. I know what George Kittle means when he talks about that feeling of, not being able to protect himself or use his shoulder pads. So I'm just as excited as George Kittle. The only difference is George Kittle gets to actually go do something with that excitement, and I get to sit there and just,
Yeah. Mike McDaniel was talking a little bit about the contact and not being able to take him to the ground.
It's true.
With the running backs, and that makes it a little bit harder to evaluate. So you're looking at, how their balance is, if their shoulders are over, the top of their toes and all that. They have a good center of gravity. So it is a little bit more complicated. So, it's going to be nice to evaluate them when they get actual contact with another team. And George Kittle was saying that as well. Like, I'm ready to play a team that's not our defense.
Correct.
I'm ready to go against somebody else and light it up. And I think we're all excited for that. And we're getting close. We're just a little over, a week away until we get to see that first preseason game and get to see the 49ers rookies get out there. We get to see the new added players. Hopefully we get a good look at all these guys and get some excitement for 49ers football coming up in 2021.
Tons of great football to come. Right, we got 17 regular season games. We got 3 preseason games. We got 20 games of football for the 49ers and hopefully even more once playoff time rolls around. There's so much content. There's so much time still to talk about football. We're just getting started. Ant, it's here, man. It's officially here.
Yeah, and Saturday is going to be a ton of content from us. We're going to be putting out as much as we can over the weekend as we get out there to training camp and get a look at these guys and letting everyone know our perspectives. We'll get as much of it out there as we can, as much information as we can about what we see and our perspective on things. And it's going to be exciting to get out there and see these players, and it's going to be even more exciting to kind of share that information with everybody else. Let's see how much we agree with everybody that's been going out there so far, and where our viewpoints are different. And if we agree, we're going to tell you, no, they were right. We agree. And if we don't, we're going to tell you that too. That's the one thing you can expect from us, is we're going to give it to you straight exactly how we view it.
Correct. No guessing with us. No spinning it one way or the other. No hyperbole. We'll try not to. It's going to fall on me not to. It's all good. Ant's good. He's covered. He's got it on lock. But look, we got tons of great content coming up, so make sure you're subscribed and make sure you hit that notification bell. Make sure you like the video. Share it with the rest of the faithful. Be a member and join the Cutback crew today. Go check out the 49ers Cutback shop. Cop yourself some sweet George Kittle-inspired gear, some sweet training camp 2021 gear, all of our other 49ers cutback gear. You want to have that in your life. You need it. It feels great on the skin, as Ann has talked about plenty of times.
It does feel nice.
And it's so unique. It's different. No other 49er channel has the type of merch that we got.
No, I mean, I wear it out all the time. People see it. Go to a restaurant and they see it. Hey, that's a nice shirt. Yeah, you know where you can get that? 49erscutbackshop.com. So you don't want to be the only one that doesn't have it. Get out there and get it today. But I will say that I'm just so excited for this football season. I'm excited to be able to share things with the 49ers Cutback crew, which has been awesome so far. Looking to get into this more. Lots of great things that are going to be coming from this channel for our people. All that will be announced in due time. But we have a lot of excitement, but we have to start with Saturday. But make sure you're here for the live stream on Friday because it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to break down day 8 of training camp.
It's going to be a blasty blast. You don't want to miss it. We will see you all there and then. And until that time, 49ers fans, you stay safe.
And remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.